you go to shake their hand, you grab their wrist, you bring it up to their hand, you tell them, look at your hand, sleep. Hello, my dear friends. My name is Harold, and welcome to the Sanctum, your gateway to discovering the hidden wisdom of the East and the West. In this particular video, I shall be talking about hypnosis and how you can hypnotize, and especially do what's known as an instant induction or instant hypnosis. So please make sure you watch till the end of the video, because I'll be talking about the theory first on how this all works, and then about the actual practice on how you can do that. So if you're new to this channel, please subscribe, and please like this video and share it with all your friends who might be interested in this sort of thing. It'll help the channel grow. So first of all, if you're new to hypnosis and you want to know first on what is hypnosis and how it works, make sure you watch my video on hypnosis, which will talk about the conscious mind and the unconscious mind and the critical factor and how hypnosis works. And it's important that you understand that before you watch this video, because here we'll be going straight into the theory of the technique itself and the actual practice. Okay, so to watch that video, you can do so by clicking the link above, maybe over here or somewhere over there, wherever it appears. Okay, so this particular technique that I'm going to share with you is called an instant induction. So essentially, an instant induction is a way, first of all, an induction is a technique that's used in hypnosis to get an individual into that state of hypnosis, into that state of trance. Okay, now just so you know, the word trance is referring to an altered state of consciousness that we experience anyway throughout the day. It's like when we watch a movie, we get so engrossed into that movie. It could be an exciting movie, and then we start to feel excited. But there might be nothing exciting really going on around us, but because we're so focused onto that movie, we go into this altered state, we go into trance. So this is what we call hypnosis. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to induce the state and deepen it. Okay, so now all these techniques that I'm sharing with you on this channel regarding NLP and hypnosis, they're just for informational purposes, for those who want to know. We don't go out there and start hypnotizing people without their consent. You can do so with your friends with their consent, and of course, all hypnosis, the person has to let go in order to go into that state, so you'd require their consent anyway. So let's get right into the instant induction. It's important to understand how this all works. So the particular induction I'm going to share with you is called the handshake induction. Now, the reason why it's called the handshake induction is because it's about creating hypnosis by simulating a handshake. But instead of taking that handshake into completion, you're going to break a normal pattern and then induce hypnosis. I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean by this. So this is known as a pattern interrupt. So a pattern interrupt is anything where you can interrupt a certain pattern that has been repeated over and over and over again. For example, a handshake. Since you were born, or since you could shake someone's hand, you know how to do a handshake. You know that a handshake, the process involved is that you give your hand, the other person gives theirs, you'll shake your hand, and you let go. That is a handshake, right? And you've done that how many times? Hundreds of times, maybe even thousands of times. Just shook somebody's hand and let go. So it's become such a pattern that you can just instantly do it. Somebody gives their hand, automatically your hand goes, you do it and you let go. So it's become a pattern. It's been repeated so many times. Now, what happens if you go to shake somebody's hand and they slap your hand down like that? You're going to go into a bit of a shock, right? Or if they do something else, like you go to shake their hand and you grab their wrist and take their hand like this, you're going to get all confused, right? Because that's not the normal pattern. we call that a pattern interrupt, because you're interrupting a normal pattern. Now, this is just an example of a pattern interrupt, but there's so many innumerable patterns that we formed in our lives over a certain period of time. But this particular pattern interrupt is very effective and very ingrained in us. So that feeling that when a pattern is broken, that we get confusion or shock, when we get confused or we get shocked that something happened, it's out of the ordinary, that pattern was broken, this instantly induces trance just for a second. So this trance that I'm referring to is when you're feeling confused, when we're trying to go, oh, what's going on there? Or when we get shocked, we go into trance just for a second, just for a moment of time. Now, when we go into trance, there is something called the critical factor. If you watch the video that I've mentioned on hypnosis, where I talk about the basics of hypnosis, you'd understand what this critical factor is. This is the gate that decides what should enter your unconscious mind. For that second, this gate opens completely, right? And it's completely open to any suggestion that can be thrown into the unconscious mind, any order or any suggestion that can be thrown into the unconscious mind. The unconscious will accept it. So now that's what happens in confusion. We get confused. The gates open because we're trying to find something that we can grasp on to help us dissolve the confusion and make sense of what was going on. Same as when we get shocked. The gates open because we want to get as much information as possible to help us resolve this state of shock. So this is where the instant induction becomes very interesting. When somebody is in this state of shock or confusion because we broke a pattern, saying a word like sleep, when the gates are open, their unconscious can grab that word and take it in, because they can understand what that word means, sleep, and they can instantly go into that state of hypnosis, because the unconscious could understand that the word sleep is something that they know how to do. So the unconscious takes that and instantly induces that state. Now, it'll only last a few seconds unless you deepen it instantly. So a deepener is anything that, if it's a hypnosis term, it's anything that can deepen a person's trance state. That's what's called a deepener. Right? And there are all sorts of deepeners what hypnotists use. One thing is simply counting down from 10 to 1 and telling them that they'll go deeper and deeper as you count down from 10 to 1. That's an example of a deepener. But in this case, that's too long. What we just want to tell them is, because the gates are open, you just want to tell them sleep, and then go deeper and deeper, right the way down, right the way deep, right the way sound asleep, deeper and deeper and deeper. And as you do that, the gate remains open, because otherwise you could have said sleep, that would have been taken in, sleep would have been induced, or hypnotic sleep would have been induced, but the gates will slowly start to close and the person will come out if you don't deepen it instantly. So how you would do this is essentially, now that you know the mechanism behind this, is you would go up to somebody, let's say a friend of yours, and getting their consent to do this, of course. Now, if they know you're going to do this, it'll still be effective, but it'll be more effective if they're not aware of when you're going to do it, right? But you can still do it quite effectively if the person knows. But you get their consent, you walk up to them and you go to shake their hand. And as you go to shake their hand, instead of normally grabbing their hand and shaking it, you would grab their wrist and bring it up onto their face. And now, just doing that, they're going to go, whoa, 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 what's happening? And the gates are going to open now, because they're going into confusion, right? And now you tell them, look at your hand. And immediately that's going to go in and they're going to look at your hand. And then you're going to gently guide their hand to their face. Gently, not forcefully like that. Gently guide their hand to their face and say, sleep. And that's going to put them immediately into that trance state. Right. Now, you can click your fingers. You don't have to click your fingers. It's very powerful to click your fingers, because if you do this and say sleep like that, the clicking sound is going to bring their attention to the word sleep, and that's going to add more oomph to the suggestion of inducing trance. Okay, so once again, you go to shake their hand, you grab their wrist, you bring it up to their hand, you tell them, look at your hand, sleep, right? And now they're going to, as soon as you see them close their eyes and go into that state, you immediately deepen. So you say, and go right the way down, deeper and deeper down, relax. With every word I say, go deeper and deeper. You can even count down. We call this a deepener. We'll go deeper into deepeners in another video that I will make, particularly on deepeners and the kind of deepeners that you can do. But this is just so that you have a idea of how this works, okay? And the person can immediately go into that state. If you don't deepen, continue to deepen, the person will may come out. Now it's important that if you do induce hypnosis, that you know how to bring a person out, and that's very easy. You just tell them now when they are with their eyes closed, that in a moment you'll count up from 1 to 3, and on the count of 3 they'll be wide awake, and then you count up 1, 2, 3, wide awake, and they'll come back. They'll be back awake. Okay, so this is just an introduction to how you would do the instant induction and how you would do instant hypnosis, but I'll be talking more about deepeners and how you can have various examples of deepeners, so you've got more tools in your toolbox to practice yourself, as well as you can I'll talk about other techniques as well, and other kinds of inductions, slower inductions, and inductions using certain kinds of language, and we'll go deeper into the subject of hypnosis in my channel. Okay, so practice this technique with your friend's consent and let me know how it goes. And if you have any questions, please comment down below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with all your friends, and I hope to see you very soon. So thank you, take care, and see you very soon. Peace.